Welcome to the fifth reading of my memoir, The Innocence of Guilt. The immovable will of my father. On the opposite side of the street, at the front of our house, stood a bakery. The pleasant aroma of freshly baked bread reached my nostrils every morning. To enter the shop with my mother and see the stacks of bread on the wooden shelves registered pure delight. The baker's horse-drawn cart for deliveries often stood outside, and I loved to pet the horse's soft muzzle. He wore a cute straw hat with holes cut out for his ears. One day the baker's daughter, Yvonne, a pretty brown-haired, brown-eyed girl, around 12 years old, offered to take me to the swings at the Castle Park playground. She had taken me to the Saturday morning pictures at the Hippodrome Theatre a couple of times, so my mother trusted her to look after me. I adored Yvonne and named one of my dolls after her. At the park, she pushed me higher and higher on the swing until I slipped off and found myself on the ground. I'd fallen from quite a height and was a little shaken up, but soon recovered. I wanted to stay and play some more, but Yvonne made me leave. Before we reached my house, she said, "Whatever you do, promise me you won't tell your mummy you fell off the swing." She looked so concerned, I promised her I wouldn't say anything, so she handed me over without a word. Later on that day, I felt guilty not telling Mummy, so I mentioned the fall, and I told her that Yvonne made me promise not to tell her. It ruined everything. Mummy told Daddy, and he said that Yvonne wasn't allowed to have anything more to do with me. I mustn't talk to her in the bakery, or if I met her outside in the street. Heartbroken, I begged him to change his mind, but my tears did nothing to move him. That wasn't the first time I faced his immovable will. After the war, he kept chickens to provide us with eggs, and also fattened one up for Christmas. To keep the supply going, he also kept a cockerel or two. One day, one of the cockerels escaped its pen, chased me all over the garden, nipped me behind one of my knees and made it bleed. I didn't cry for too long, but he grabbed the cockerel and took it into the shed, closing the door behind him. Only one reason for a chicken to pay a visit to my father's shed: to get its neck broken so it could end up as our dinner. I ran to Mummy. "You have to stop him, Mummy," I cried out, tugging on her apron, trying to drag her outside. "I don't want the cockerel to die." "There's nothing I can do, dear," she said, with an irritable sigh. "He's made up his mind." I ran outside and banged on the shed door, but my cries of "Daddy, Daddy" met with silence from inside. At dinner time the next day, all 5 of us gathered around the table. The cockerel sat on a platter before us, having paid the ultimate price for its attack on me. My brother and Mummy sat uncommonly quiet, mice waiting for the cat to pounce. Din Din knew better than to say anything. A slow smile crept across my father's face. I couldn't eat a thing, let alone the flesh of the poor innocent bird. If it wasn't for me, it would still be alive. Cockerels don't make good eating chickens. I know that. They're too skinny. He would never have killed it if it hadn't nipped me. Daddy asked Mummy why I wasn't eating, and she said I was too upset. He glared at her and said, "Make her." She reluctantly forced the meat into my mouth, and when I gagged, he made her do it again and again until I brought it up. He stood up from his chair and slammed it into the table's edge. "I bloody well killed that bird for you," he shouted, "and this is how you repay me." After that incident, I began to feel sick, whilst eating, and for some strange reason, if a knock came at the front door. At bedtime, I often shook uncontrollably as nausea swept over me. By the embers of the dying coal fire, I sat on a chair wrapped in a blanket, head hung over a bowl, refusing to go up the stairs until David, Daddy, and Din-Din climbed them to their rest. After Mummy finished all her jobs and readied herself for bed, up we'd go together, with a candle to light the way. The bowl had to come too. A nightlight in a saucer of water, lit with a match, sat on a bedside table, illuminating the darkness, for I was frightened of the dark. Mummy would sit by my bed for a while, holding my hand under the covers, stone-hot water bottle in its knitted cover warming my feet. With the comfort of her sitting beside me, I gradually fell asleep. But as it became a nightly ritual, my father was not pleased. Thank you for listening. Please feel free to subscribe, like, or comment on this reading, and hopefully you will tune in to the next one. Bye for now.